Welcome everybody to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube today. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you. Anthony Floyer here with you for another edition of Ridiculously Raw. We got the Phenom Michael Bullock here. We got the Twisted Angel Didi Woodson with us. Fortunately, good old MF Michael Fletcher will not be joining us this evening due to work commitments beyond his control. We will see him for the next edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. We'll get into that at the end of the show. So, of course, Monday Night Raw. What else is new? Another meh show. I mean, what else would you expect? I mean, come on. I mean, this is not SmackDown Live where we get consistent shows every week. This is Monday Night Raw where we get inconsistent shows every week, and this was no exception. So, needless to say, there will not be, we won't be talking about much things because, cutouts ruled the roost again. So, yeah. So, without any further ado, let's get this done here. Monday Night Raw live tonight from the Veterans Memorial Arena in Jacksonville, Florida, on the USA Network. Well, the show did start off good, though. I mean, we had an in-ring segment, General Manager Kurt Angle, along with the Constable Baron Corbin, running down what happened with Brock Lesnar and the whole thing with him and Paul Heyman. And then all of a sudden, the big dog shows up, Roman Reigns, and hell breaks loose, and it leads to Kurt Angle making a match between Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin, 2-for-1 deal, and the winner of the match, 18 minutes and 45 seconds, it was the big dog. It was Roman Reigns who picks up the win. So I'll say it like this: the segment was the segment of the night, without a doubt. I mean, the intensity of Roman, you got to love that. Kurt Angle, taking umbrage to Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin was really pushing Angle's buttons, which is all he has done since he became the Constable. And he said, hey, you just make the matches. But Kurt Angle says, yeah, I do make the matches. And then I'm going to make a match between the two of you, Roman Reigns against Baron Corbin, and it starts right now. So, well done. So yeah, the opening segment was good. I mean, the back and forth was very good. I mean, I like the opening segment a lot. It was, for me, the segment of the night. And who would have thought for the second week in a row that the Constable, Baron Corbin, would actually have the fight of the night on Monday Night Raw? He had it last week against Finn Balor. He has it again tonight against Roman Reigns. Thing is, it was not as good as the Balor fight was. This was only 3 to 3.25 stars, but it was still the fight of the night for me. And it was announced that in the SummerSlam, it will be, as expected, it will be Finn Balor one-on-one with Baron Corbin. We saw that coming from a mile away. It is the rubber match after all. Balor winning at Extreme Rules. Corbin going over in that great match last week, but something has to give. Something has to give in the SummerSlam, so nothing really more to say. Segment of the night, fight of the night. Great way to start off what was another lousy edition of Monday Night Raw. So, nothing more to say here. Let's get Michael Bullock in here. Let's get his thoughts about it. I mean, Bullock, during our Raw chat tonight, we agreed this was about 3 to 3.25 stars, correct?
Oh, yeah. As far as the segment goes, I mean, I do agree this was the segment of the night. I mean, I love the back and forth. I mean, with Roman Reigns and Constable Baron Corbin, and of course, the Constable saying, "Oh, Kurt Angle's the one that makes the matches. I'm the one that keeps an eye on Kurt Angle because Stephanie McMahon doesn't trust him." Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but this whole Constable Baron Corbin thing is, I mean, it's beyond the point to go away. I mean, we've been saying it time after time, but until WWE finally gets rid of it, I'm going to keep on saying it time and time again. I mean, yeah, there's really nothing more that needs to be said. I mean, as far as the match goes, 3 to 3.25 stars. This was definitely the fight of the night. I mean, 2 weeks in a row, Baron Corbin has another fight of the night contender, but I still think the one with him and Finn Balor last week was better than this. So yeah, so there's really nothing more that needs to be said. So Didi Woodson, let's get your thoughts on all this.
Yeah, this was a good way to start off Raw. strong segments. They're getting better, at least with this part of building a storyline. The first match, definitely about 3-star match. Love how Reigns and Balor kind of, bullied up on Corbin on, to keep the feud going between Corbin and Balor. But at the same time, making the point of Reigns versus Lesnar that we have at the pay-per-view here in about 13 days. So, like I said, they actually did something right at the beginning of Raw. They definitely made the first match in the segment storyline based. So, yeah, there's not much more to say about it. Great start. So, Florio, cheers.
Next match we had was Bobby Roode squaring off against Mojo Rawley. And Bobby Roode picks up the win, 9 minutes and 10 seconds with the glorious DDT. So, Michael Bullock, I mean, you know what we do when Bobby Roode gets up a win. What was that win tonight? It was absolutely...
Oh, that win was absolutely glorious.
Your thoughts on the match?
I'll say this was about a 2-star match. I mean, I thought it was fine for what it was and the amount of time it got. I mean, yeah, a nice win for Bobby Roode, and so what's next for him? I don't know, but there were times. I mean, I thought it looked like Mojo was going to get the win, but Bobby Roode picks it up. So yeah, there's really nothing more that needs to be said. So 2 stars. Didi Whitson, it's yours.
Yeah, I'll go 2 stars. It was a pretty good match. I mean, it continues the feud that they already had that started last week, or was building off of last week. So, I'm with Bullock. I don't know what's going to happen next. Whether they're going to take Roode, or if they're going to continue this on, or what. But still, it's about a 2-star match. So not much more I'm going to say about it. Florio, cheers.
Yeah, about 2 to 2.5. I mean, I would say maybe the third best fight of the night. I mean, it was a solid match. I mean, they got some good time. I kind of wanted to see Mojo go over, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, because, they've been building him up and everything else, but they knocked him down. But any momentum that Mojo had, he lost with the loss to Roode tonight. So that's all I can say on that. So solid fight for what it was. And now it's cutout time, folks. So sit back and do whatever you want to do with this. So yeah, and it was Elias. Elias, he wanted to do the documentary on Raw, and then he was interrupted by Bobby Lashley, and then all hell breaks loose. What else is new? So we're just gonna leave it there. Then we had one half of the Authors of Pain, Razor against Titus O'Neil. Razor picks up the win, 3 minutes and 5 seconds. This was another meh fight. I mean, crowd wasn't all that fired up for it anyway. I certainly wasn't. So they evened it up. I mean, they put Apollo Crews over last week. This time Razor gets the win back. So I'm glad about that. I mean, if they had put Titus over on this, I mean, good grief, I would have lost my mind. But thank goodness that didn't happen. And then Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens comes out with it was basically the Kevin Owens show, and his guest was Jinder Mahal and Sunil Singh. They bragged about beating Braun Strowman via count out last week, and of course the cage match at Extreme Rules. But at least one bright spot came out of this. Braun Strowman flipped the stage over, and all three men came tumbling down, and that was awesome. So at least that was good. So, and then it led into a match: Braun Strowman against Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal wins by disqualification in 1 minute and 45 seconds. I mean, Jesus. I mean, a weeknight for Strowman. They're obviously telling the story that Strowman is at risk of losing his Money in the Bank contract if he loses to Owens by DQ or count out at SummerSlam. But the stunt and the match, both totally forgettable. Park it there. And then they had Corey Graves doing a sit-down interview with Roman Reigns, which I thought was pretty solid. I mean, it was a good piece of production. It makes 2 of Roman's losses to Lesnar feel unfair, while also playing to the fans who want to see the Universal Championship defended more often, all of us. And how great would it be if Roman Reigns turned out to be a total hypocrite by turning heel and declining to defend the championship on a regular basis? Yeah, that's a dare to dream there. So we're just going to park it here. Now, what was going to happen with this? It was going to be a tag team match. It was going to be Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns against Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. But Constable, Baron Corbin, and Stephanie McMahon obviously had second thoughts about that. They didn't want to. Of course, it's this their way of sticking it to Roman Reigns. I mean, Roman Reigns already had the match of the night with Baron Corbin. But the Constable said that you can't team with Seth Rollins tonight because you already had a match, and we don't want to jeopardize our main event at SummerSlam. Roman said, "I don't care anyway. I'm gonna go with Seth, and we're gonna kick Ziggler and McIntyre's behind." But Corbin says, "You do that. If you go out there with Seth, goodbye Universal title shot." Roman had no choice but to comply. So we ended up having a handicap tag team match. Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler squaring off against Seth Rollins. Of course, Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler win the match. They won it in 7 minutes and 5 seconds. I mean, there was the possibility of Dean Ambrose. I mean, we heard, there have been a lot of dirt sheets about Dean Ambrose possibly coming back. I mean, he's ready to come back. I think they might be saving it for SummerSlam. That's just my guess. But there was no Ambrose in this match. Everything is pointing toward him being in the corner of Rollins at SummerSlam. And then the question then becomes, how long is he going to remain aligned with Rollins and Reigns? In other words, are we going to finally get the Ambrose heel run in WWE? So we're just going to park it there. Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, the B team against the Revival. It went to a no contest in 3 minutes and 10 seconds because Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt got involved. And it was announced that next Monday night on Raw, we're going to have a triple threat match for the Raw Tag Team Championship. The B team, Hardy and Wyatt, the Revival. I guess they didn't have enough room for these guys on the SummerSlam card, I guess. I thought this was going to be a SummerSlam match, but, it is what it is. We'll just park it there. Then a sit-down interview with Renee Young and Paul Heyman. Oh, boy. Even though Paul Heyman was visibly shaken, it was amazing. I mean, it was another brilliant performance by Paul Heyman. I mean, I wasn't sure what to expect from him tonight, but it was perfectly logical and so well performed. I mean, he's mastered his promo style, and it showed real range as a performer, and he nailed it. So, well done on that. Okay, finally, something relevant happens here. A women's tag team match. It was a return match from last week. Yeah, where have you heard that before? Return match, repetitiveness. But this was one time repetitiveness was actually, not bad. Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan against Sasha Banks and Bayley. Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan pick up the win in 10 minutes and 45 seconds. Only because of one reason. The Punk Princess and the Dark Angel, Ruby Riott, is back. Ruby Riott, very instrumental in the win tonight. So Didi Woodson, finally something relevant to get into on this garbage show tonight. A solid match. Not only a solid match, but Ruby Riott is back. So that just made things interesting.
Yeah, it did make it interesting. In fact, while we were watching this match, Kevin and I were talking about that she needed to make a return soon, or we were hoping she would. And sure enough, the leader of the squad is back, and she made her presence known tonight in that match. I mean, she helped her team, pull off the win, and I'm going to give the match about I'll say about 2.5 stars. I mean, it was a fairly good match. I'm kind of getting into this boss and hug connection thing. Like I said, it sounds a lot like the Rock and Sock connection. And having teams like this, it makes you wonder when WWE is going to actually execute this women's tag team match titles. So, are we building to that, having all these teams? I hope so. But this match, I thought it was fairly good. These girls did very well. So I'm going to toss it back to Florio.
2.5 stars for me as well. Solid tag match with a much better second half than the first half, and the return of Ruby Riott, which I think is very welcome because Logan and Morgan, I thought they were completely lost without her. They were like deers in the headlights, but with Ruby Riott back, that'll definitely help them, get back into things, and it was solid for what it was. So we'll just leave it at that. I would say maybe second best fight of the night on this end. So nothing really more to say. Bullock, your thoughts on this tag team match? Ruby Riott's back. Punk Princess, Dark Angel, following up a solid, one of the rare few solid matches on this show tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was good as well, and I'll give it about a 2.5 star match. I mean, this was definitely, one that I certainly enjoyed, and Ruby Riott's back, and all I can say is now that she's back, I mean, I think the Riott Squad is definitely going to be themselves again, and yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more that needs to be said. I mean, you guys pretty much touched on everything, so let's just move right along, Florio.
We move on to the main event of the evening, which was the return of Ronda, which was the in-ring debut, the Monday Night Raw in-ring debut of Ronda Rousey. Actually went up against Alicia Fox. Of course, Ronda Rousey won the match, 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Yeah, nothing really to write home about here. I mean, it was okay. It was filled with a bit too much ballyhoo, though. There's no denying that Ronda Rousey comes off as a megastar and carries herself like one. It was an overall good segment to set up the SummerSlam match, and it was a good post match there. So really, all I can say on that. So really nothing more to say here. So we're gonna get into our overall review here. I mean, this is not going to be good. I mean, I believe Didi led off on the last match, so I can start it off here tonight. Okay. I'm going to go on the record here. This was the worst Monday Night Raw of 2018 by a country mile. I mean, yeah, the opening segment was good. Let me tell you something. If Constable Baron Corbin is responsible for the fight of the night, you got problems. That's all I can say on that. Even though it was welcome to see that, but We only had like a handful of solid matches. We had like, what, 2 or 3 solid matches on this show tonight? I mean, nothing on this show, felt relevant. I mean, way too many cutouts. I mean, the handicap match was okay, but honestly, it was way too predictable. I mean, I could have had Bullock and Didi go into it, but honestly, I don't think they would have. Even if I asked them, they probably wouldn't have wanted to get into it, and I wouldn't blame them if they didn't. So yeah, this was Extreme Rules bad, my friends. This was Extreme Rules bad. Like I said, worst show of the year by a mile. This goes to show that Monday Night Raw continues to suck each and every week. It continues to be a chore to get through. I mean, I'm alone. I mean, I'll sum it up like this. This show was another chore of a show to get through. They only have one more week to hype SummerSlam. And this show really missed the mark in terms on creating excitement for the show. They did some small things to build to the pay-per-view, but a lot of it was very flat and uninspired. No good wrestling on this show. And the only really good things were the sit-down interview with Heyman, that video package with Corey Graves and Roman Reigns, and the opening segment and the opening match. Other than that, it was another Raw that felt about 13 hours long. Really, I mean, it felt like a work day, and honestly, it felt like an 8-hour work day to get through. It tired me out. It wore me out. Gave me a bit of a headache. So I'm just going to sum it up the only way I can. 0 to 1 out of 10. This was a hot garbage show here tonight. And we only have 1 week left until SummerSlam. Next week, or we're already at the Go Home show next week, okay? It's Go Home show next week. Greensboro, North Carolina, the legendary Greensboro Coliseum, one of the great professional wrestling venues in history, home of the very first Starrcade in 1983. But criminy. I mean, we got to put together a blowaway show next week. But what do you expect? Do you really think they're going to deliver a good show next week, even though it's the Go Home show? Not on your life. I'll be shocked if it's passable, at the very least. So, and next week, all the only thing you have announced for next week is a tag team championship triple threat match with the B team against Hardy and Wyatt and the Revival. That's a match that hardly anybody wants to see. So I'm losing faith as a Raw guy. I'm not only losing faith, I'm losing patience here, man. I mean, I'm not even going to bother challenging SmackDown Live. SmackDown Live, we already know it's going to kill it tomorrow night. Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch against the Iconics. AJ Styles, he's going to cut a damn good promo on Joe. So, and then the latest with the Miz and Bryan, obviously. So, oh, Lord, help me. That's all I can say on that. So, 0 to 1 out of 10 for this edition of Monday Night Raw, the worst show of the year. Next week, let's get it going, folks. We have to put together a damn good show next week. It's the Go Home show. It's SummerSlam, for goodness sakes. Your second biggest show of the year. You got to do something to get us excited about it. You got to do something that will get us to shell out the $10 for the WWE Network, or the 50 to 60 or however many it is bucks on traditional pay-per-view for those of you who actually still do that. I don't know why, but nothing more to say. 0 to 1 out of 10. I'm done. Bullock, just take it before I just really go and lose my mind.
Yeah, this is just a bleeping hot garbage show. This was bad. This was freaking horrible. 0 out of 10. I'm not gonna waste my time on this freaking garbage. Didi Woodson, it's yours. I'm done. I'm done with this freaking nonsense.
Well, I'll say there was at least maybe 1 or 2 good matches. Some of the segments were really good. Yeah, it was a low-scoring Raw, but they're still, at least in the opening segment, was doing at least a little bit of storyline building. And even with, Fox and Rousey, you had the interview before the match with Bliss and Fox, and of course, they're trying to build for a pay-per-view that's not even until October, and so they're bringing that up. And right now you're this close to SummerSlam, you need to focus more on that. The Heyman interview, pretty good. There's just a few highlights, and then there's a lot of low points, as normal. So, I'll agree with Florio on the rating. So, not much more I'm going to say about it. I'll see you, I guess, Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. So, good night, guys.
All right, good night, Dee. We'll see you then. So, now it's time to get into my Tony's take here. Get into some real relevant stuff here. Of course, 205 Live, and unlike Monday Night Raw, which gives us crap every week, 205 Live, delivers consistently every week, and this past week was no exception. Started it off with Kalisto against Tony Nese. Kalisto wins in 7.5 minutes. 2 3/4 stars. Pretty good opener, working the basic power speed formula. The finish was a bit flat, but the build to a tag match continues, so we'll just leave it there. Lio Rush against some loser, beat him in 1 minute and 5 seconds. A great little squash for Rush, and he has really come a long way. I mean, they're building him up as a cocky and arrogant son of a gun there, and it's obvious a match with him. There's going to be another rematch with him and Tozawa. And then the main event, Cedric Alexander, non-title match against D. Brian Kendrick. Cedric Alexander wins in 12 minutes and 25 seconds. 3 stars, overall good back and forth match, and the old minion of the heel challenger trying to weaken the champion ahead of the title match. 7 out of 10. 205 Live, another good, simple, and focused show. They continue to build to Nese and Murphy versus the Lucha House Party in a fun opener. Lio Rush is an awesome little a-hole. He's arrogant. And they continue to build to a rematch with him and Tozawa. Good main event, and added to the build for Alexander and Gulak at SummerSlam. A good, quick, and easy watch, unlike that show we just talked about. So we're just gonna park it there. I don't know what's on tap for next week's show, but for this week's show, but we'll address all that next week. So 7 out of 10 for this past edition of 205 Live, and now we're gonna get into our Impact Wrestling review. A show that was full of tope con hilos, and I promised Michael Bullock I was going to address that elephant in the room. I told him that earlier, and that's all there is to it. So let's start it off. Knockouts tag team action. Knockouts champion Su Yung and her undead bridesmaid against Ali and Kiera Hogan. Ali and Kiera Hogan picked up the win in 6 minutes and 21 seconds. 2.5-star match. It was a solid match. It was a solid little match to kick things off with Ali picking up the win as she looks to get back to the Knockouts championship. But Tessa Blanchard remains a roadblock for her because Tessa attacked her after the bout. Then we had the OGs in a squash match. They squashed a couple of losers in 55 seconds. But then the original LAX came out. The OGs stole LAX's rightful tag team championship, and they also desecrated them too. They also spray painted on them, a la what the NWO used to do. But then the rightful champions, LAX, they come out and all hell breaks loose, and one of them, yes, hits a tope con hilo, and I know that would have made Bullock a very happy man to see that. So then we had the Desi Hit Squad against KM and Falaba. Desi Hit Squad wins the match, 6 minutes 20 seconds. 2-star match. It was okay. The fans, they do like Bond KM, but the Desi Hit Squad, they're still missing something. They're not doing anything for me, honestly. Austin Aries in a in a championship match, defending the world championship against Dustin Cameron, and in his corner, Anthony Corelli. You may not know who that is. Anthony Corelli, who's best known to WWE fans as Santino Marella. Yeah, saying he's now in TNA, Anthony Corelli, and he was in the corner of Dustin Cameron. Dustin Cameron is one of Anthony Corelli's proteges because Anthony Corelli runs a wrestling training school or something. Of course, Austin Aries won the match, 3 minutes and 20 seconds. He's still the World Heavyweight Champion, 2 stars. It was fine for what it was. A-hole Aries is the best Aries, That's all we can say on that. And then another Scarlett Bordeaux segment, just amazing. And then we had Eli Drake and Trevor Lee against Grado and Joe Henry. Eli Drake and Trevor Lee win the match, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. It was a 1-star match. It wasn't much of a match. It was more about continuing the Grado, Henry, and Katarina angle. I don't have any interest in that, but at least Eli Drake got a win. And then the main event of the evening, Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix, the Lucha Brothers against OVE. The Lucha Brothers win it, 17 minutes and 23 seconds. Fight of the night. This was 3.5 to 4 stars. It was an overall good, fun, and action-filled main event. The Lucha Brothers are so good as a team, and they worked well with OVE once again. OVE had their chance to overcome and get some revenge, but it was there, and Sammy's desire to unmask the Lucha Brothers that ultimately backfired on them and led to their defeat. Lucha Brothers are on a roll while OVE is looking for some much-needed momentum as they just can't get past the Luchas. Another great spot during this match. Both Lucha Brothers at the same time, double Tope con Hilos in stereo. Bullock would have loved that. Trust me, because we all know how much Bullock loves Tope con Hilos. So we'll just leave it there. So, but this was a bit of a down week for Impact. It was a 6 out of 10. They're in a bit of a post pay-per-view lull right now. It was still a solid show overall. They've continued some angles, and they're slowly getting things in place for the next build of stories and programs. They're in a bit of a holding pattern as they set the table for the next show. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as things continue to take shape. Following what was a very strong build to Slammiversary and a great Slammiversary pay-per-view, I'm willing to give them another week or two to see how it all shakes out. So we'll just park it there, and then of course this week on Impact Wrestling we got a big show. We got a loaded show here, which will be airing this Thursday night, my birthday. I mean, it's going to be awesome. Little birthday present for me. Taiji Ishimori and Petey Williams against the Desi Hit Squad. Tessa Blanchard will be in action against Alicia Edwards, the wife of Eddie Edwards. Another in-ring segment with LAX and the OGs. That's going to be hella fun. Impact World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Austin Aries defending against the aforementioned Eddie Edwards. Pentagon Jr. will be going up against Matt Sydal. And then Johnny Impact will square off against Jimmy Jacobs. So that's a pretty decent show on Thursday night. So 8 Eastern Pop Television, check it out. And let's get it in here. That will put the bow on this very short edition of Ridiculously Raw. I mean, it breaks my heart it had to be this short, but that's what happens when you have a crap show. So okay, now
and repetitiveness.
Yeah, repetitiveness indeed, Bullock. You're right. No Cerebral Smack Talk tomorrow night because MF has work commitments beyond his control. However, we will be back on again on Wednesday night. The Wednesday night edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, 10 p.m. Eastern, over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95, where we will review SmackDown Live, and MF will have another Lucha Underground review. I believe it will be just that. It will be this week's show because I know he covered it last week. So the SmackDown Live review and MF's latest Lucha Underground review and the Mikey's Mindset. That's on Wednesday, and then Friday night. Hopefully, we'll have a Strictly Sports this time. We didn't do the show last week because MF and Bullock were both out late. So, and Derek Ferreira has informed us that we will keep the same docket as he had for last week, which was Kevin Love re-signing with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Vince Carter signing with the Atlanta Hawks, Aaron Judge out for a few weeks, our recap of the trade deadline and the Major League Baseball power rankings. So that'll be on Friday. And then, of course, next week, Ridiculously Raw, the go-home show for SummerSlam, which, let's be realistic, is going to probably suck again. So I don't know. So that's it. So we're done. So that's it. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. And until Wednesday night for another Wednesday edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF on Brace Bay 95, it's your ridiculously over good brother Anthony Florio here for the phenom Michael Bullock, and in spirit, the Twisted Angel Didi Woodson, good old MF Michael Fletcher, and of course, Bullet Club Soldier 445 Derek Ferrera. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune Forest style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Wednesday night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, keep it watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 at YouTube.com. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.